Alright, today we are going to be tier listing all of the Unknowns add-ons. We're going to be going in order from iridescents all the way to grays. I'll have timestamps below in case you want to skip through and be an impatient little biatch. But besides that, let's get right into it. Starting off with iridescents. First off, right off the bat, we got an S tier with the Captured by the Dark or the film tape. This makes all the survivors weakened at the beginning of the game, and as you could probably tell, that's really useful. And the only downside is that the hallucinations that can be spawned are decreased by 1. That's the max hallucinations. Very minuscule downside in my eyes. And again, another iridescent. I'm gonna put this in A tier this time. This one decreases your teleport cooldown by 5 seconds, and let me see. Yeah, after the decoy you leave behind after you teleport to it takes 10 seconds longer to actually disappear. That could be pretty useful. And then the last effect is kind of more niche. It gives the decoy or hallucination a red stain into a radius. But like I don't see that being used much. It kind of just alerts the survivors that you're using that add-on. Other than that, not much use. Heading right on to the purples. First off, we got milk carton. This one's kind of strange because I feel like this add-on alone gives so much more of a skill ceiling to the unknown. It kind of changes him a lot. So normally it's gonna be B tier for people who don't know how to use him much. But I feel like this will go all the way up to A to S tier if you know how to use it. Next up, we got the homemade mask. And oh man, this is needless to say, pretty bad, pretty niche. Even in stealth builds, this is not really optimal. It's just kind of stinky. Obscure game cartridge. This one, again, is kind of niche, but there are some builds where I see it could be useful. Like, i.e., if you use, like, brutal strength, and it increases Windows fault speed too, so perks like bamboozle could work. And, this actually goes well with one of the Unknown's new perks, Unbound. So that's pretty cool too. And you could make a build based around this add-on, and I've kind of tried it a little bit, but usually these never come together like at all. Pretty niche, but it still can be kind of useful in some situations. Definitely could have some potential. The serum right here, the serum vial, it's pretty. I'd say it's pretty good. When they come within like the radius of a hallucination, they become exhausted for 10 seconds. So that way, if a survivor with sprint burst or another exhaustion perks comes up to the hallucination and starts to dispel it, and you teleport to it, they're not going to be able to use sprint burst or anything like that. So this is pretty good. I'd say A tier, definitely. Exhaustion is going to be really useful, especially with all the sprint burst lights. Almost every survivor is going to have some sort of exhaustion add-on, so this is going to be pretty useful. Another pretty good add-on. Next up for the greens, another pretty good add-on. What's this? A movie poster? What's it called? B movie poster. B movie. The B movie poster. That's pretty fun. But this one is really good for like slowing down survivor's healing, because what this does, it makes any survivor you injure by your projectile broken for 30 seconds, so they can't heal for an extra 30 seconds when you hit them with it. So if you can't finish off a chase with them, they're still gonna be broken for 30 seconds, so you can come back from later, and it's gonna be good slowdown overall. And this footprint is can also be kind of good. I don't know. It's kind of weird. That's it. I think when you weaken a survivor, it decreases the time in which a hallucination spawns by 15 seconds. Basically, once you make someone weaken, another hallucination spawns. This kind of just adds to the randomness of this killer, especially with his teleports. Or the randomness of his teleports, sorry. But I don't really... I guess it's pretty good. But, like, it's not much control of where you put your hallucinations. But I guess if you're, like, sniping a gen, doing a lineup or something, I guess instantly spawning hallucination could be pretty decent. I'm going to put this in B tier below milk carton. Next up, we got this newspaper. This one is also pretty bad. It's kind of similar to the game cartridge. Because, let me see. Yeah, when you break something, it decreases the time in which a hallucination spawns by 50%. So this could maybe go good with the game cartridge thing. But I think there's better add-ons to use with this, and there's better add-ons overall than both of these. But whatever floats your boat, man. Alright. Next up, the green watch. The hypnotist watch. This one, also really good. I think I'm gonna put it above... Nah. This is another exhaustion add-on. When you directly hit someone with your projectile, and it goes through them, it makes them exhausted for 10 seconds. Exhaustion, really good thing to have. This comes useful in many situations, unless they're using sprint bursts. Actually, you could get them when they're using sprint bursts too, because you know how they kind of walk right before you get to them. You could hit them directly with that, then they can't use sprint bursts, and but yeah, it's really useful for other perks. Other perks like bounce landing and lithe too. Sorry for that. Because if you get them before they vault the window or before they hit the ground, it's gonna be pretty devastating for them, and you can easily catch up to them. So overall, pretty good add-on. Next up, Matchbox. This is gonna be another S tier. I'm gonna say it. It's kind of similar to the Captured by the Dark, but this one is more of a mid-game to maybe kind of end-game lasting. Because at the beginning of the game, this makes all the survivors weaken, but this makes anyone that was on a gen that like finished a gen, they become weakened after that. And this applies for like if more than one person was on a gen. If there's like 2 or 3 people on a gen, they finish it all at the same time, they're gonna be weakened. They're all gonna be weakened. So this is really strong. If you can't really get a bunch of people weakened, and even if you just kind of get value from doing nothing, just letting people finish gens. But yeah, really good add-on. Moving on to yellows. Let me see. Yeah. Device of I forgot the name of this one because I don't think there's much use for this. I'm gonna put this in D tier. When they're in the area of like a hallucination and you teleport to it, they're already gonna be caught off guard. You don't need Oblivious for this. I'm gonna be honest. Unless I see one very niche use for this. Now, as I'm sure some of you are aware, there has been a theory going around that the Unknown might be one of the only killers, aside from Doctor, that can use this perk right here. Now, this could go good with this add-on, maybe. But if you're going for a stealth build on this kill, Insidious could actually be something considerable, which is hilarious, but also really cool. But yeah, that's really the only use case I see for anything on this add-on, so I'm gonna be putting it in D tier. Next add-on, I think it's another Oblivious thing. Oh. Yeah. This one, no bueno. Basically useless. Almost as useless as the mask, but what this does is, what's it? I think, oh yeah, decreases the range in which a survivor sees the hallucination's aura by like 25%, and like there are most of the time they're already gonna be seeing it. And plus, even if they don't see the aura, it's like a 6 foot tall alien amalgamation of a man. They're gonna be able to recognize a hallucination rather they see the aura or not. So not much use for this. You can maybe put into D tier if you really want, but kind of niche. This notebook on the other hand, notebook of theories. When you hit someone with your projectile, they become hindered for an additional 2 seconds. I think I'm gonna put this top of B tier. I see this going good with the watch maybe, because exhaustion and hindered is pretty evil. But yeah, this add-on's actually pretty good. Like 2 seconds doesn't seem like much, but in a game like Dead by Daylight, it matters. Trust me. Next up, Slashed Backpack. Now, one thing you'll notice with Unknown is that his spawns are really, really random. But with this add-on, you can actually kind of control your hallucinations more. Now, there is something you can do where if you hold out your projectile, it pauses a timer, which hallucination spawns, but you're like slowed down when you do that. So I think this add-on can be really good if you want to control your teleports more. I'm going to put this in A tier, definitely. Really good add-on. Alright, Victims Map. Now, now most of the time, if a survivor is weakened, and they kind of have to like stare you in the eye, they're probably going to be in your line of sight, and they're like highlighted in purple, so they're going to be pretty easy to see. Unless they're like really, really far away, and you're like not that good at seeing things. I still see this being pretty useful, honestly. I'm gonna put this bottom of B tier, cause it's definitely useful for some info and get you some value. But if you're good at Unknown, you're already gonna be seeing people with their bright purple outline and the little yellow thing around their head when they're looking at you. And yeah, that's all for the yellow add-ons. Next up for the gray add-ons. Blurry photo. Hear me out. Hear me out. Blurry photo is the add-on that decreases your delay for gaining max movement speed on your teleport by 50%. Yeah. Yeah, regain full movement speed 50% faster. Now, looking at this add-on, it doesn't seem like too much. You might think, oh yeah, it's kind of good. But this is useful in so many situations. Like, even just teleporting around, you're going to be way faster and way more fluid. And when you're catching people off guard, they're not going to be able to gain as much distance on you. And when they're dispelling you and you teleport to them, you're especially going to be able to knock them out. Or at least get a hit with this. And actually, when they're dispelling hallucination and they come off and they like kind of pussy out, they get weakened. So that's your chance to kind of use your projectile and like basically demolish them. Now at first I thought, now if you don't read the full text for this add-on, I might think, oh, that's kind of good. But this is the definition of niche. What this add-on does is when a survivor is weakened and injured and they have to dispel a hallucination, they get deep wound. Three different things. Weakened, injured, and they have to be dispelling a hallucination. If they successfully do it, which is even rarer, actually, they get deep wound, which, whoa, that's really big, man. D tier. I actually genuinely don't know what. I guess it's the survivors don't know how to mend themselves, or like you're kind of in their proximity when they dispel it. But other than that, I don't see much use for this. Now these two, yeah, Rabbit's Foot. It's one of them add-ons where it makes blood pools red. You know it's gonna be bad when it has that effect on it. They have to make that a feature to make the perk or add-on seem at least a little bit better, but I'm gonna put this top of D tier, being quite generous. The other effect, other than the brightening the red stains or red blood pools, oh my god, is that I forgot. They suffer from hemorrhage when they're injured by UVX or your projectile. I'm not 100% sure how hemorrhages after the rework, but I think you're just better off using the green poster. I don't see much use for this. I'll put this bottom of C tier. I'm being generous. Next up, attempted sketch. Again, another really niche add-on. This is probably the most useful thing to have for a stealth build, so I'll put it top of D tier. Other than that, there's like practically no use for that. But that will conclude my tier list for the unknown. Again, things might get changed in the future. People might discover more about unknown, and these could be moved around, and Milk Carton can especially be moved around because it has a skill ceiling. I said it could go all the way up to A to S. Okay. And don't underestimate the unknown's teleports. Those are hella good. They can be really good a lot of the time. So that will be all.